Hey people, what's up? Mohit here. Today we're going to talk about something called positive psychology or positive thinking and all that stuff. You have heard of this book, Think and Grow Rich? All right. So, Think and Grow Rich is like the go to book for all those people who are crazy about the success, grinding and hustling culture of the world. So, and since then, has come more to the internet culture, and it's pretty obvious because these ideas are like always, very attractive and not so here, like, rather than putting my personal opinions into this about how effective this culture works or not, I would like to just explore the history of what what's the journey of this positive thinking movement is all about. So, Think and Grow Rich started all this, by the way. Napoleon Hill, he is from he made a research of all these, who's who of the pre-World War II era people like Andrew Carnegie and, you know, uh, like Rockefeller and those kind of people who were like making it big in the era of the Roaring Twenties and the Great Depression, which happened in 1930 till the 1940s, which is like the World War II happens. So the Industrial Revolution, right? It made a huge impact on the way people started to think, and so did the Charles Darwin's Origin of Species. Evolution and progress, it really was internalized in the modern person. Therefore, like you started getting cheaper goods than before, and people thought things are only gonna get better, and they did. Like the transition from like uh, like the pre-industrial agricultural era to the industrial era, there was fraught with some difficulties, but a lot of diseases were eradicated. People started having a higher standard of living, and people started living a bit longer. The rate of improvement of lifespan happened in the 20th century. Now, there is a lot of things you can say about economical progress during this time, especially when you consider that the 50% of the economical progress that we have experienced so far in the 21st, I mean, forget 21st century. I'm talking about the whole complete cumulative economic progress of humanity. 50% of it uh, is credited from the year 2000 to 2021. So the rate of growth of the economy and technology, like, it's grown quite exponential. So people have been trying to cope with this for a while, and it's like they have this come up they had to come up with an attitude that, okay, like, we have the American can do spirit. So the American can do spirit is that anything is possible. I just got to put my mind to it, and I just got to make my mindset. And personally, I don't find this mindset so bad. Like, it sounds great. Like, okay, like, you can do anything, you can do it, like, as long as you're not arrogant, right? So there are people who find this a bit problematic. So there are like a group of people who find that, oh, so like, you just got to think and you will grow rich. So what about the poor people? Are they like not thinking hard enough or something like that? So Margaret Thatcher, she, the Iron Lady of Britain, she was the Prime Minister of Britain during the 80s, 90s. I'm not sure. Like, no, not 90s. I'm sorry. It's between 80s. Okay, I don't have my dates right. But Margaret Thatcher was quoted as saying that whatever reason the poor people, like the poverty exists, is a lack of uh, thinking or a mindset. Like, she blamed that for them. So as things kept going, a new book started coming out, which still believed in the Think and Grow Rich formula, that change your thoughts and things will change for you. So this kind of thing, it's almost like magical thinking. All right, it's like you have, how do I put this? You have almost like a faith based thinking, and there is nothing wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with that, though. There are some who are rationalistic, would see like there is a problem, that, oh, like, it's a faith based thing. It's not something proven or something. So the one of the key arguments against these rationalistic positive thinking exercises, is that if it is something that works, then it should be the system that should be blamed, not the person. Because according to the positive thinking or the magical thinking movement, when you engage in a positive thinking or a magical thinking technique, then it's not the technique that is to be blamed. If you fail, the technique is not supposed to be blamed. It is you who is supposed to be blamed, because you didn't do it right, or you are not in the right frame of mind to execute that. So a rationalist would argue that the technique needs to be foolproof, that even if the person is like can't do it, then is not perfect, then he should be able to execute the technique. So these are some of the criticisms. However, the people who have subscribed to this Think and Grow Rich methodology, it seems to have piggybacked on the new modern physics phenomena of the quantum physics phenomena. So quantum physics, right? I'm not going to get into it. It's like more complex than I can imagine. But one of the key tenets of quantum phenomena is that things don't happen unless you see it. So it's like you got to witness the particles of quantum phenomena for you to be able to measure it. And the act of measuring that phenomena alters that, alters outcome. So it is a complicated experiment where an electron is passed through some kind of a device, and that's how they try to measure it. So the whole point of Schrodinger's cat experiment is that where you keep a cat, it's a thought experiment. It's like Erwin Schrodinger, he wanted to give a good metaphor for how quantum phenomena works. So he keeps a cat in a box and he puts like a radioactive isotope, which is basically a randomized timer. So it would a radioactive isotope would have a half life which is decaying, okay, and it's all totally random. You don't know when the cat is gonna die. Once this radioactive isotope decays, it releases a toxin which kills the cat. So unless you open, because the radioactive isotope has some quantum qualities, like unless you go and open the box, you don't know if the cat is like dead or alive. So at this stage, the cat is both dead and alive, because the radioactive isotope has not yet released that electron. So it's existing in both stages. So if I have confused you even more, it's actually my fault because I have not been able to simplify this idea ever further. But in the further videos, we'll deep dive into this. So now, how did the positive thinking people piggyback on the quantum phenomenon? They started releasing books about how like your thoughts are things, and your mind comes over matter, and the fact that quantum phenomena is based on your measurement, that means your thoughts will affect the physical space. So they started releasing some books about how quantum and the quantum space and the psychology space is like connected. So you started getting books like Quantum Psychology. I forgot that. I think it's Robert Anton Wilson who wrote this book called Quantum Psychology, and another called Prometheus Rising. Both are about they're pretty out there books, all right, and they're very interesting, and I really do encourage you to check that out. Like there is another book by forgot his name. Okay, Fritjof Capra. He wrote a book called The Tao of Physics. So where he finds out that a lot of the ancient Asian scriptures or literature about spirituality and meditation practices, they have a lot of coinciding with the new quantum phenomenon, and quantum mechanics. So it's a comprehensive book where he explores most of the poetry, it seems to him, that alludes to what he's talking about, modern physics. So Fritjof Capra is one of them. There is one more, but I have forgotten the name. That's a problem with me making streams like this. In the future videos, I'm planning to like come up with a better script so that I have all my research straight. But as of now, just to build that habit, I'm just coming up with crappy videos like this to stream online. Regardless, there was more research done on this, but it was shunned and put aside by the like I don't know what to call them, the establishment, basically. Like this part of the scientific research on positive quantum psychology and stuff was put aside. And one of the people who I would recommend that if you are interested in, like, this kind of stuff, like, okay, mind over matter and stuff like this, I would recommend that you check out Jeffrey Mishlove. All right, there is a YouTube channel called New Thinking Aloud. So Jeffrey Mishlove was back in the 90s. He is what you would call a parapsychologist who deals with paranormal phenomena. Paranormal phenomena are something that cannot be explained by natural phenomena, like natural physics. So paranormal phenomenon is like the fringe of science. Like, the polite scientists don't want to look at it. They're like, no, it just doesn't exist. So they deal with consciousness, they deal with telepathy, they deal with telekinesis and stuff. Telepathy is your thoughts connecting with another person, as in you are able to communicate through thoughts. And telekinesis is that your mind affects the physical space. Like, you can control the physical space with your mind. So obviously, like, you can come up with like a connection that, hey, this thing can grow, this thing sounds an awful lot like telekinesis, right? Like your mind affecting matter. And it could be true. Like, it's called psychokinesis too, because you can allude to it, right? So psychokinesis is your mind affecting the kinesis, means something to do with the kinematics of the world. So where would you be going next is that probably check out Jeffrey Mishlove's videos. And you have like two like, it seems to me that the people would be divided. One side of the school would be going towards the rationalistic way, where they will keep all of this aside. So they would rather consider it to be objective, where all these spiritual kind of stuff do not exist to them, and they go towards the objective path. Like, and then there's another school of thought which is like, they're open to this. Like, okay, I agree with the evolution makes sense to me. The science and everything makes sense to me, but there are still these reports of these unexplained phenomenon that seems to be still to be discovered. Now, Sam Harris, all right. Sam Harris is a neuroscientist. He's considered to be a militant atheist by some people, but he's spiritual. So he is one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, which is like a group of people whose mission is to enlighten people away from God. Basically, they have enlightenment values. So anything that comes with the enlightenment values of the 16th to 17th century. Am I right about that? Wait, sorry, 17th to 18th century. My dates are all screwed up, guys. I'm sorry. But enlightenment values are like where people started thinking with reason, and they use their reason and logic and rationality to prove that it's likely that God doesn't exist, and they use their philosophy and stuff to like have these arguments. So most of the modern world is based on enlightenment values. For more exploring about how enlightenment values have affected the modern world, I recommend to you Enlightenment Now, written by Steven Pinker. He's a linguist, but he has done a phenomenal research about how the Enlightenment values have transformed the world that we are living today. And most of the prosperity and most of the scientific thinking that we have, we can like give credit to the Enlightenment values that came in Europe during that time. However, like, you got to give credit where credit is due, right? Therefore, and one more final thing I would like to talk about before we leave is that during this time of Rene Descartes, the guy who invented coordinate geometry, the guy who came up with the XY axis, the Cartesian plane, and whatnot. So Rene Descartes, like, he was a part of the Catholic Church during that time. And he was also part of the Rosicrucian movement, which was allegedly, like, it's not confirmed, but allegedly he was a part of it. And there is a thing here where you gotta see that in the train of thought of humanity, like as they came up with new concepts, it was from Rene Descartes' time that we see a schism. A schism is a division between natural philosophy and the way the world works, science basically, and the spiritual plane basically. Because before they were all together, they were all one. Because people connected science with spirituality, and it was considered alchemy. So in alchemy is like it's considered a primitive form of chemistry. But most of the stuff that you see here, like Isaac Newton, he was like, other than discovering the law of gravity and calculus, he also was heavily invested in alchemy. Some people consider that Einstein wasted his time, fooling around with alchemy and stuff. But like, that's how pervasive alchemy was back then. And uh, in alchemy, if you if you still go through alchemy even for today, right? Like, a lot of alchemy is based on the purity of the alchemist, the person who performs the alchemical techniques. Like, he's supposed to be a person of integrity. All right, like, if he's not in integrity, the experiments he does would fail. This goes way against the scientific methodology of today, like, where the scientist is not supposed to, like, it doesn't matter if the scientist is somebody who's like a total dick or something, and his experiment is going to fail because he's a total dick, right? So that doesn't work basically in the scientific community. So what do you think? Like, do you think your thoughts can affect the world? Do you think that your mind has some effect on matter? Like, regardless of what it is, there is still I have not read the research. Okay, like, let me, as we keep going, I shall be giving more research driven, data driven videos. But based on what I've heard in some of Jeffrey Mishlov's interviews that he does with some of these scientists, turns out that there is some evidence where telekinesis, psychokinesis, and this mind over matter stuff actually has some causation going on here. In fact, one of these things called remote viewing. Okay, remote viewing is the ability for you to see things far away or even beyond time. So it's like clairvoyance. Clairvoyance in the sense that, how do I put this? Maybe a superpower like Professor X. Like, he can just sit in his wheelchair or whatever, but his mind is all over in other part of the world, and he's able to witness the events that are happening in real time. So back in the Cold War, the Soviet Union and the US, they had remote viewing squads basically. Like, they would spy on each other. Like, there is a book called The Seventh Sense by, I forgot the name, but it's called The Seventh Sense. So in that, he talks about how he was a psychic spy. So there's a great movie about this called The Men Who Stare at Goats, which is based on a book by Joe Ronson. So I hope I've given you enough resources to make your own research, and I hope you enjoy this stuff. Like, more stuff will be coming soon enough. And thank you for watching. If you have watched this, and I request that you give me a like and stuff. Okay, bye. See you and have a great day.